Welcome back for the continuation of the 2008 Acura MDX engine upper end installation. Also see links in the video's description to some of the products used in this video. Alright, so we're going to install the fuel injectors into the base. While I don't have any signs of a fuel leak, I figured it's best to replace the upper and lower fuel injector O-rings. I'll do one here and repeat the other 5 off camera. First, I'll remove the metal retaining clip by spreading it and sliding it off. Next, I'll remove the injector from the fuel rail. You want to be very careful to pull the injector out as straight as possible because there's a black plastic ring that can easily be damaged. Then it's just a matter of removing the upper and lower O-rings with the pick tool and installing new O-rings. I use the O-rings from the Felpro kit. I added a little clean engine oil to the upper O-ring so I could slip the injector back into the fuel rail. Then I reinstalled the metal retaining clip. Alright, so we're going to install the fuel rail now. So I put a little bit of clean engine oil in each one of these holes. Just going to set this in place. Get this nut off over here first. Slide that on over here first. Slide it back that way. Gently. Do the front first. Okay, those are in. And then the back. Make sure they're going straight in. There we go. Those are in. Alright, so now we need to put the bolts in for the fuel rails. Now, this is one part where you may want to put the fuel rail, with the injectors and everything, in the base before you put the base down in here. Because the bolts are way under here. And they're very tough to see and very hard to reach. That's where the holes go, right over here and right there. There's one right there. You can see the bracket for it, another bracket here. The other thing is you may want to leave the valve covers off. Give yourself a little more space to work. Let's see if I can see the holes. You can see I have a mirror right here. Trying to find the holes, make sure they're lining up. And I'm just going to move this back and forth and I can see the holes about lined up right there. I think it needs to come up a little bit too. Yeah, this is going to be fun. So I've got the 8mm and a bolt. Not sure that's going in. Doesn't feel like it. Maybe it did. Yeah, that's it. Okay. So just a few fingers and it's like it's going in. I'm going to grab a 1/4" ratchet and try to tighten that down if I can. This is a little longer socket, by the way, too. And here's a shorter 8mm. It's a kind of more of a standard 8mm 1/4". See the difference in size there. Alright, so I went back to the shorter 8. I also have a flexible 1/4" extension that I can use too. We're going to try this out first. Okay, that seems to be going in. Alright, so I've got this flexible 1/4" extension. If for nothing else, to give myself a little more space to work here, do it by hand first. Okay. Just about down enough there. Okay. So that one's in. There's one. Got 3 more to go. That's going to be quite the adventure. Alright, so I'm going to go for the second one. Using the mirror, it looks like this hole is lined up after getting this first bolt in. So we're going to give it a shot. Okay, yeah. This is going to work much better, I think. Okay, that one's down. All right, so we're going to move on to the rear. I'm going to tighten all the bolts after we get them all installed. So yeah, definitely use a mirror if you're doing it this way. Looks like that hole is lined up. And this one is pretty close too, looks like. Okay, get this in here. So I've got one of my fingers underneath to hold the bolt up, and then my other fingers are kind of feeding it in. See if that works. All right, cool. There's that one. And then we'll work on this one here. Finger underneath there again. Hold that up and feed it in. Boom. Got him. All right, so that's in. All right, so the torque spec is 7.2 foot-pounds. I'm using the 1/4 inch torque wrench. There we go. There's that one. There's that. There we go. There we go. And we are done with that. All right, I'm going to put this nut on over here. Complete our fuel rail installation. And that is a 12 millimeter. Torque spec is 16 foot-pounds. There we go. All right, so I'm going to put this wire harness back down on this bracket here. Clip it in on this side and on that side. Let's do this side first. There we go. Okay, it's back in. And we're going to put the fuel injector connectors back on. This one goes here. And also the clips. Okay, do the other side. And that one. All right, so we got a couple connectors here. All right, so I'm going to put this bracket on the cylinder head right over here. Before I do that, you can see there's a place to clip on the sensor, the cat. I'm going to do that real quick, like that. So I'll put the bolt in. Okay. All right, so let's tighten this down. 14 millimeters. This connector right there can go on, right there. Well, kind of to complete this side, I think I'm going to put the fuel line back on. I don't think there's anything impeding us doing that right now. So I put this little rubber cap on temporarily. Take that off. Oh, there's some fuel in there. That's fine. Slide that back down. All right, so we're going to put this cover back on. So it faces that way. This opening is on that side. There we go. Like that. And then Just latch that closed. All right, so this is the connector for the sensor on the lower part of the cat in the front here. So we need to route that back up and attach it to the engine mount bracket. You're not gonna be able to see anything because it's very dark up there, so I'll point out exactly where it goes once I get it installed. All right, here's the connector for that lower sensor of the cat in the front. It's on this bracket right here. And the bolt, you can probably barely see it, is right there. This bolt right here is on this engine mount bracket. All right, so we're going to put the radiator in next. So I'm just kind of checking things out. The two cushions, there's one there and one over here. We've got some lines, one right there. And we've got two more over here. This one here and that one there. All right, so here's our radiator. And we've got our bracket for our transmission lines right there. This is going to have to go on afterwards because there's just not enough space in there. That's how this is going to look. And here are our fans. So I'm going to put the fans in first, and I'm going to try to create as much space as possible because as you saw on the radiator, there's a bunch of lines on the bottom that could get caught on these fans. So I'm going to kick the fans forward at the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to set the fans in place. I think I'm going to start with the metal fan first. See how this works out. I'm going to set it over here. Like so. Yeah, this is not going to be fun. I need to get the other fan past that. This one can come in like this. I'm pulling the condenser forward to make a little space also. I'm going to turn that one. There we go. Like so. Yeah, this is a little bit of a Tetris puzzle here. Trying to get things back into place. So I turned this one to the side as you saw it. I was able to slip this one past it. So now I need to position the fans so that they are forward at the bottom. Don't want to cooperate. There's that one. And this one. Alright, so we're going to attempt to get the radiator in. There's just not a whole lot of space to work with. Put some cardboard on the front of the radiator to protect the fins. Probably should have put some on the back of it too, but so I'm tipping the radiator forward in the bottom and then sliding it down slowly. Okay, this side's good. This side is good too. Alright, so we've got the connectors and all the hoses back on down there. It's kind of hard to see them, but I think you saw me take them off and how interesting a job that was. Getting some of these clamps back on was very interesting, especially that one right there. That one down there was not fun. Remember, it wasn't fun taking it off either. There's this side all done. All the clips are back in place everywhere. So we're done with the radiator for now. What I'm going to do next is I'm actually going to put the reservoir hose in right here before I secure the radiator. Alright, so I am going to put this hose back in. Let's see here. That's how it's routed. So it clips in, looks like right here. Let me see. No, clips in down here. Right there. Right down here. Back there. And it goes it goes through here, I think. I'll figure that out later. And then this goes here and back in there, like so. Okay, so I'm going to put the hood latch on while I have the space. 2 bolts on this side, 1 on this side. Got a connector back here that's going to go underneath. Snap this back in here. There we go. And this one there. Tighten that down. That's going in. There we go. Okay, so it's kind of loose right now, so I can line up the holes with the other 2 bolts. Okay. All right, so I'm going to put the hold downs on. They go right here. I think that's right. Yep. There we go. There's one there on that side. And I'll put the other one on the other side before I tighten that one down. There we go. Okay, tighten them down. That's good. All right, so there are a couple hold downs for the condenser. One goes on this side, one goes on this side. See, they're slotted. So I have the bolt in here already on this side and on that side. So I'm going to slide this in here and then get it right behind the washer, the last washer. And also make sure it goes in the hole right there. And just press down. 10 millimeters. Most everything I've tightened so far is a 10 millimeter. Okay, that's good. I'll do the same thing on this side. Okay, that is it. All right, so I'm going to put this bar back in. That goes down there. There's a little place where this stud goes in. Get it lined up here. Right there. So I'll put one bolt in here, start it. We got 2 bolts down here. Get those started. Actually, I'm going to put the nut on down there too. I'll show you what it looks like in a second. You saw me take this off too, so it's not like any of this is a surprise. 2 hands. Get it spinning at least. Okay. See if that'll work. So I use this one. I did have it at this angle to tighten it. One thing I forgot. The hood latch connector back here, because it's hidden. I didn't see it. I didn't remember it was there. There's a little clip that sits on. There we go. Alright, so what I'm going to do is put the lower radiator hose back in. So there it is. I'm going to route it past all this stuff. We got this electrical box in the way here. And actually, before I do that, I'm going to put some sill glide on. That's going to allow it to go on a little bit easier. Just going to put a tiny bit on there. It's almost the same as 3M silicone paste. I lost my container of 3M silicone paste, so I'm going to use this stuff. Like so. And same thing on this end. Slide that on. There is a metal bracket right here that you probably can't see. I'm going to slide the hose into that metal bracket, and then I'll slide it onto the outlet, I think. There we go. Then I'll attach the lower portion. That's on. Right, we're going to slide our clamps on now. That's good there. That one's up here somewhere. There it is, right there. I'll try sliding it down a little bit, then I'll... That's pretty insane. I'm not sure that's down all the way yet. Nope. Yeah, this is definitely going to be fun to get off if I ever have to take this apart again. Yeah, I have to get some smaller pliers. Anyway, you get the idea. So I'll get this back on and we'll continue. Alright, so the ends of the clamp are right in here. Seems like it's fine. So if I ever have to take this off again, I'll just put my pliers right in here, open this up, and slide it back that way. I think, if I remember correctly, it was actually on top before, which is very hard to reach. Alright, so we're going to put the upper radiator hose in. Same thing, a little bit of sill glide in here. So right inside the hose, just a tiny bit. Slide this under this wire. I gotta attach it up here first. Put it all the way on. Slide that back on there. And then we'll put our clamp on. It's got some indents in there. I'm not going to worry about matching up on those. It's probably a good idea to do that though. But we'll just put it there. It's pretty close. It's going to go back pretty far. That's on. Make sure it's not too close to the end. Seems right. And then the plastic clip down here, I spun this up like that. Alright, so this black clamp was on one of the radiator hoses. I don't remember what goes on this end of it though. And I don't think anything actually goes here. Since I couldn't remember, I went on the Bernardi Acura website because they have great diagrams on this car. And every time I brought up any iteration of the MDX, it said, sorry, does not apply to your vehicle. So what I'm guessing, and I could be wrong about this, is that this clamp was on here, but it had nothing attached to it. So this clamp may be applicable to other cars that use a J37 engine, but not to this car. So I'm just going to put it back down here somewhere, kind of out of the way. And if I come across something that needs to be attached there, I'll attach it. All right, so this side is done for the most part. There's a bunch of stuff that goes over here. I'm going to wait till I get the intake manifold back in, and then I'll finish this area up.